we're on to 2008. Today on All Out Brick, we'll be taking a look at the Av-Matoran, aka the Matoran of Light. We're going to build these sets, review them, and then give out a score. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Christian from All Out Brick. Welcome to another Matanui Monday. As always, the best way to tag along every week is to subscribe and turn on notifications. Quick little disclaimer, I know it has been over 2 months since our last Matanui Monday. Plain and simple, life got a little crazy, need a little bit of a recharge break period. Everything's fine, we're going to be continuing on the Bionicle series. Also, it's been a little bit tougher than I thought it was going to be to acquire some of these later Bionicle sets. That threw a wrench in some things, but like I said, just a quick little break, recharge period. We are ready to go now, start rolling with some Matanui Mondays. There's not going to be one next week, just a quick little heads up, but after that, we will be rolling on a weekly basis, so it's very exciting to be back, and I know a ton of you have been reaching out, waiting to see when this next episode is coming out. Here we are. This week, we're going to be building the Av-Matoran, also known as the Matoran of Light. These were released as a part of the 2008 line of Bionicle. The Av-Matoran were the first type of Matoran created by the Great Beings, and the first of them was actually our good friend Takua. Their biggest task was to prepare the core of the universe, Carta Nui, for the awakening of the Great Spirit. 1,000 years later, the Brotherhood of Makuta attacked Carta Nui. They managed to drain several of the remaining Matoran into Shadow Matoran, but eventually were fought off by the Av-Matoran and the Toa Nuva. Fun fact, when these Matoran come into contact with the Toa or Makuta, they can access special light-based abilities as well as the ability to share knowledge and memories with the Toa or Makuta. Taking a look at the packaging, first little note is we are missing the packaging for Tanma. Well, we have the lids to it, but the cardboard sleeve is gone. That's right, it's a cardboard sleeve on the front. We've got an image of each of the Matoran. We've got some different backgrounds going around here, and then we've got the ages 6 to 16, the set number, and along with the piece count. And on the back of the packaging, nothing too fancy, just some simple images of the set. It also shows how you can combine it with a Toa or Makuta to have them kind of like on each other's piggyback or something like that. And then there's a bunch of text, no shortage of that. The Av-Matoran are brand new to me in terms of my previous build experience when I was younger, so I'm pretty intrigued to see what these things can give us and how this 2008 line starts off. Let's go ahead and breeze through these builds. Okay, so after 10 minutes, we've completed the Av-Matoran builds, incredibly quick builds, and really it's because their piece counts are just so low. Incredibly simple builds, and I almost take that as a negative. First, let's talk about some different positives with the model. I think the color, the very nice pops that we get throughout all 6 of these Matoran, 3 of which are the Matoran of Light, 3 are Shadow Matoran, which essentially are just, Matoran that had the light sucked out of them by some Rahi, Makuta, now they're Shadow Matoran. But it's very clear between the two which ones are the Matoran of Light, which ones are the Shadow Matoran, and collectively, they're the Av-Matoran. Pretty simple there. I think the green, the orange, they're new colors, the lime green, maybe not so much, but it feels like we get a little bit of new color in here, and it drifts a little bit from our typical, 6 colors, 6 elemental colors that we get with Bionicle. That's a nice little switch up. We've also got some really cool looking masks. Little fun fact, some story behind these masks. Originally, the Matoran were supposed to be able to wield Kanohi powers with these masks. However, the story team decided to take that out of their canon, and they just left those masks in as unique masks for these sets. There's a lot of new molds here, and I guess we'll see throughout 2008 if they're truly new, unique molds to these sets, or if they're just repurposed pieces from the Toa or the different Makuta sets, Fantoka, Mystica. We're going to get there. So we'll see if it's like that, but I do think the new molds are really cool. Unfortunately, they take away from some of the articulation just in terms of being able to get some nice elbow joints or knee joints. However, that's not really a problem with Matoran because generally they're pretty simple builds anyways. So it's not the biggest deal in the world to me that we don't have articulation there. I think what it does cause, though, is just a very robust action figure, McDonald's toy type of vibe to it. I think it seems a lot less Bionicle because it's just this one large piece fully bent as a limb rather than a couple pieces put together or a straight arm that can hinge. I don't know. It feels a little bit just, it's very big difference from previous years of Bionicle, which I'm not going to trample on. I mean, we do need to progress. Mounted on their backs, we got 2 different options depending if it's the Matoran of Light or the Shadow Matoran. On the Matoran of Light, they've got these cool little jet packs. I think the mold for them, really cool. It just kind of mounts in with a single axle piece into their torsos. It's a nice little attachment, definitely gives a lot of detail to that back and just completes the model a little bit more. I think without this, boy, they would look really bare. And then when you show up to the Shadow Matoran, they've got some pretty wicked wings going on here. Those were a little bit trickier to figure out how to like attach, I guess, in a way. They feel a little bit goofy sometimes, like they're just a little bit big. They kind of blend in with the black torsos a little too much, but they're pretty cool. They definitely make them again stand out that these are Shadow Matoran, not Matoran of Light. So the story comes off very clearly thanks to these pieces as well. An issue I had with these models, and again, it kind of just draws back to the fact that they don't feel like very complex builds because they're not. And I know Matoran aren't really supposed to be, but they just feel so simple and just too simple. We didn't get any sort of play function with them, which is fine. They just have a very action figure type of feel to them. The colors are very straightforward. The whole construction is very, very basic. And then the molds are much bigger. So we get bigger mold pieces and then fewer overall, which, I mean, I finished this build in 10 minutes. 10 minutes for all 6 of these is not what I expected. Wanted it to be a little bit longer. You know, you think back to previous Matoran sets, and you just like to get some of those smaller pieces, a little bit more detailed of a construction. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but boy, when you just get a torso and limb pieces and a head and you like slap it together, yes, that worked with the Tahunga, but that was a very long time ago. We've progressed. This is 7 years down the Bionicle line. We should have been able to come up with something better. Overall, the Av-Matoran, very forgettable sets. Just super forgettable. They got a little bit going for them, some new colors, really cool looking masks, some nice little wing and jetpack pieces to kind of tie everything together. A little bit of a like broad range here between, we got some Shadow Matoran, some Matoran of Light, so we got a little bit of extra story in there. But the models themselves, just, I don't know. They're very forgettable. Nothing's going to make me like remember these guys except for the fact that, oh, cool, we've got one orange one. That's really the biggest thing about it. And I wish there was a little bit more to them. A little bit of a start to 2008, unfortunately. You know, even with just the packaging we had super simple. You just wish it was a little bit more detailed. And again, with Matoran, I know they're going to be simple construction. Heck, some of my favorite sets were the Tahunga, which were just some feet, arms, limbs, and the masks and whatever. But that was completely different. And this is just... it just didn't do it for me, you know. I wish we got a little more. I think 2007 just being so strong, and 2006, you know, we're coming off that super big high, and again, draw back a little bit. The good news about them not being the best Matoran is that they're pretty cheap to pick up. In used condition, you can get each of them for around like $8, maybe even a little bit less, and in brand new, they're really only like $20, $25, with the exception of Kirop, who's like $50 brand new, because, you know, why not just have them all be broad? Why does one of them have to be higher? That's just the way it normally is with Bionicle. So they're very cheap to pick up. That's the good news, because it's a nice little addition. Bionicles are getting more and more expensive. These guys, not so much. However, they're not getting so expensive because they're just not very great models, plain and simple. I mean, cool look to them, definitely, like nice little unique look. But I think when you look at other lines of Bionicle, they're not going to be the Matoran to go to. They feel very last minute put together, like, oh, let's use these molds and, oh, put these together real quick, torso, arm, legs, and then here we go. 6 sets. I don't get a whole lot of sense that they put in a lot of work into these. The masks are probably the only part they put a lot of work into, and even that they decided to change back and make more simplistic in terms of the story behind the masks. In terms of a score, I'm going to give these guys a 5.4. They're not terrible. Like, there's no big design flaws. The biggest design flaw is that one of these Shadow Matoran, this red guy here, how do you get him to stand up? I like the fact that they went for something bold with the way the feet are designed, but it's just not working out the best. It's very tough to pose. He just likes to rock back and forth and just slip under his own weight. So with the exception of that design flaw, there's not one. So I can't knock the sets for that. I can just knock the sets for the fact that they're very forgettable. There's nothing crazy about them. They're very simple designs. They're definitely a step back from previous years of Bionicle, and I don't really care much for them. I wish I'd cared more, but we came off a very high year of 2007, and 2006 kind of ramped that up as well. So kind of a mess start to 2008, but we're going to keep going. Hey, next week, well, not next week, but in 2 weeks, we'll have the Fantoka or the Mystique. I haven't decided yet. And then these guys will come back into play because, of course, they can mount. And we'll see if that kind of changes my mind about them. And, you know, we'll see. But for now, 5.4, that's your review. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to be the first to see all of our future content. Also, be sure to check us out on our website and on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Until next time, stay bricking.